Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Last week, Return to For the Greater Good gave us 4 experience in the puzzle box as we stole the ladder from the Silver Twilight Lodge. We spent that experience along with the 1 from Return to the Wages of Sin, so now we're into the 6th scenario of the campaign, Return to Union and Disillusion. First up, let's set the scene for this scenario.
Scenario 6, Union and Disillusion. The unvisited isle lies in the midst of the Miskatonic River, in between 2 of the bridges that span the river and connect the downtown and Rivertown neighborhoods of Arkham. Overgrown with vines, thorns, and unnatural underbrush, this island is home to no residents and very few fauna. Rows of mysterious stone pillars stand sentry throughout the island, rising high above the treetops. Though many theories abound, none know for sure what purpose these stone pillars serve or who built them. Very few dare to venture onto the shores of the enigmatic island, and those who do return with strange tales. Bonfires in the woods at the darkest hours of night, stone altars with deep carvings impossible to translate, empty woods devoid of life, save for the stark black ravens and whippoorwills who perch on the tree branches and watch trespassers with eager eyes. Unfortunately for you, the stakes are too high for you to heed these many warnings. The streets of Arkham are emptier and quieter than you have ever seen them before. A familiar gray mist has enveloped the town. The haze grows denser and thicker the closer you get to the river. You move with haste, not wanting to encounter any others on your way to the site of the ritual, whether they be living or dead. You find several rowboats moored by the docks and climb aboard one of them. With the waters unnaturally stiff and barely any current carrying the boat, rowing toward the island should be a simple endeavor. Even so, the dense fog makes it difficult for you to get your bearings. Soon you are completely enclosed by the gray mist, unable to see the banks of the river or the coast of the island. Shapes emerge from the fog. Ripples appear on the surface of the water. The gaze of the Watcher is upon you. Just then, a pillar of spectral energy ascends into the sky, clear as day even through the haze. The shapes all turn their attention to this beacon, and you sense the Watcher's gaze slipping from your soul. The rite has begun. You row faster, using the light to guide you. It is time to decide once and for all why you have come. Are you here to aid the Silver Twilight Lodge, or to disrupt them? This is a point of no return. You will not get the chance to change your mind later. The investigators must decide. Choose one. We have to help complete the Lodge's ritual. Completing the ritual should bind the Spectral Watcher and prevent it from doing any more harm. In your campaign log, record the investigators sided with the Lodge. Proceed to setup. We have to stop the Lodge's ritual. Disrupting the ritual should release the Spectral Watcher's tether to the mortal realm. In your campaign log, record the investigators sided with the Coven. Proceed to setup.
Alright, first of all, the waters were unnaturally still, not stiff. I messed up the recording there. But anyway, coming back to the actual scenario. If the Silver Twilight Lodge thinks we're going to help them after they've spent pretty much the entire campaign harassing us at every turn, including when we went to Venice earlier in the campaign, they've got another thing coming. We're definitely siding with the Coven in this scenario, which I've already set up the encounter deck with that decision in mind. But anyway, next up we'll remind everyone of what our tarot reading was. On the good side, we left the Hierophant 5. So during the first will test each investigator performs each round, they get +1 will. On the bad side, we flipped the Tower 16. So add 1 random basic weakness to each investigator's deck. Remove them after the game ends, and I hope that's the last I'll say about those weaknesses. But anyway, next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our opening hands. We're going back to Jacqueline as our lead investigator this time. So our hand here gives us a copy of Open Gate, which is a Myriad Fast, Will and Agility on Commit. Play only during your turn. Attached to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any 2 locations with an attached Open Gate as if they were connected. Then we have a copy of Read the Signs. 2 cost to play, Lore and Will on Commit. Investigate, add your will value to your skill value for this investigation. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location which would trigger during the investigation. If you succeed to discover 1 additional clue at your location. Shriveling level 5. 3 cost to play, will, 2 combat on commit. Uses 4 charges. Spend a charge, fight, using will instead of combat. +3 will and +2 damage for the attack, but if you pull a bad symbol, take 2 horror. Arbiter of Fates, which is probably one of the first times we've seen it this campaign that we've been able to use it. 3 cost to play, will, agility, wildcard, and commit. Jacqueline find deck only. When you use Jacqueline's reaction ability, exhaust it, this use of her ability doesn't count toward its limit. And in a hand that expensive, I'm happy to see Emergency Cash level 2 as well. Gain 3 resources and draw 1 card. Mandy's hand has 2 copies of Research Librarian. After it enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. 2 cost to play, agility on commit. The ally I'm far happier to see, though, is, of course, Dr. Milan Christopher. 4 cost to play, lore on commit. You get +1 to lore, and after you succeed, gain a resource. Then we've got a Pathfinder. 3 cost to play, agility on commit. During your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. And the Tooth of Esli, Mortal Reminder. 3 cost to play, will on commit. +1 will and +1 agility while resolving an ability on a treachery card. Action or reaction after you succeed at a skill test while resolving an ability on a treachery. Exhaust Tooth of Esli to draw 1 card. And it takes the accessory slot. Next up, let's take a look at our starting act and agenda decks. We'll start with our agenda first. The Lover's 6. You are at a crossroads. Reflect on the choices you have made. You shall be confronted with a terrible truth, right? Terrible dilemma. 8 doomed to advance, but because we released 3 heretics unto Arkham in Return to the Wages of Sin, we actually start down 3 doom. So we have 3 doom on the agenda to start with. And then our first act is the Unvisited Isle. The foggy shores of the Unvisited Isle are barren and unwelcoming. Not a soul greets you as you draw closer to the island, save for the judging gaze of ghostly birds that observe you from the trees. In the distance, the pillar of spectral energy is rising into the clouds, a vortex of otherworldly mist spiraling about it. We need 3 per investigator or 6 clues to advance. Last up, the ladies will move over to the map, so let's go join them there. The resource markers on here are reflective of the braziers that we're going to be dealing with in this scenario. Because we sided with the Coven, all 3 of them on the location start lit. So we're putting a resource marker on there to indicate if they're lit or not. The resource marker on there means it is lit. When it comes off, it's not lit. But anyway, let's take a look at our starting location, the Miskatonic River. Your boat sways gently along the current of the rippling water. The river is deep and dark, and you find yourself suddenly wondering how many bodies might lie forgotten along the riverbed, never to be seen again. Reveals into Shroud of 5, no clues. Action, resign. You take your rowboat back to the shore of the Miskatonic River, leaving the mysterious island behind. Despite the urgency of your task, you find yourself rowing quietly, as though trying to avoid disturbing the river. Alright, so we won't need to worry about clues for that. Anyway, Jacqueline is once again our lead investigator, so let's default to lead investigator first, and her first turn will take us back down to her play area. Jacqueline is playing most likely playing both of the assets in her hand to start with, but she's going to need more resources for that, so action 1 will be the emergency cache that's such a sight for sore eyes. So let's give her 3 more resources and draw her a card. So Jacqueline will draw another open gate. This could be useful, truth be told, but I'll have to keep an eye on that. Which actually, for a fast action, I will go ahead and spend 1 resource to put an open gate down on the Miskatonic River, just in case we need to get to the get out option as fast as we can. But anyway, actions 2 and 3 will be playing the 2 assets in her hand. We'll be playing out the Arbiter of Fates and the Shriveling. So I'll get the 4 charges for Shriveling. There we are. And that's a nice uneventful turn for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will take us to start at her play area. Open player window before Mandy's first action. We'll go ahead and exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw one of her skills. So Mandy draws. Opportunist. Wild card on commit. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. If you succeed by 3 or more, return it to your hand after this test instead of discarding it. When a Seeker's action 1 starts off with Milan, you know your scenario is off to a somewhat decent start. So we'll put him into play. Last thing we have to do is go through the flavor text. While I truly pray that this nightmare is just a singular abomination, I must admit that I am exhilarated by the possibility that this is but one specimen of a new genus. 1 health, 2 sanity on soak. Then action 2 will actually take us over to the map. Action 2 will bring Mandy down to the forbidding shore. Say that in English 5 times fast. Where the brazier is indeed lit. We'll take a look here. As you land on the shore of the island, a flock of birds chatter from the treetops, admonishing you for your trespass. You intrude nonetheless, ignoring the many warnings and indicators that you should turn away. This flips into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Action circle. Test will or lore 3 to find the brazier by the wooded trail. If you succeed, you may light or unlight the brazier. Haunted. You must either lose 1 action or 2 resources. So we'll get the 2 clues for that. And then Mandy will actually investigate up 3. Yeah, up 3. Actually, let's put the bag on this side. A 0 gets her a clue and a resource. So that will bring Mandy up to 2. That will also do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, obviously first round of the game, so there are no enemies in play yet. Which means I'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains a resource, goes up to 2. Mandy gains 1, goes up to 3. Get that off there. Jacqueline draws. Another emergency cache, gain 3 resources. Same flavor text on both of them. You can never be too prepared. I forgot to go through it when I played the emergency cache level 2. Mandy draws. You handle this one. Fast, play after you draw a non-peril encounter card, but before resolving that card's effect. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn that encounter card instead. Gain 1 resource. Mythos phase, we got our 4th doom on the agenda. Remember, we started with 3 because of our failure in the wages of sin. Jacqueline draws. Whispers in the Dark. Put Whispers in the Dark into play next to the agenda deck. Each location gains Haunted. Take 1 horror. When the round ends, discard Whispers in the Dark. Hush, child. It will all be over soon. Mandy draws. Brazier Enchantment. Put Brazier Enchantment into play next to the agenda deck. Increase the difficulty of each action each skill test during circle actions on locations by 2. Action, circle. Test your lowest skill plus your next lowest skill, 6. If you succeed, discard Brazier Enchantment. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location. Now, I do want to explain something about these circle actions. That's going to go into play next to the agenda deck in a minute, but I do want to provide a quick explanation here. So the way this circle action is worded is you test your lowest skill plus your next lowest skill. So you've seen me use cards like, I actually think I've got Read the Signs in Jacqueline's hand, right? Yes, I do. So the way this is worded is it adds your will value to your skill value for the investigation. That's the only point where it gets checked. So it doesn't change the test being a lore test in this case. But, it doesn't change that being a lore test. So if we had a card like Eureka, for instance, which I believe gives you both will and lore icons on commit, you would only get the will icon if you commit it to that. But on a card like this, on the circle actions, where it says you're testing 2 skills, then you would get the icons on both cards. But I think we do need to keep somewhat of an eye on that because they're both testing at a total of 4 on Brazier Enchantment, and trying to get rid of that early might not be a terrible idea. Jacqueline is using combat and agility to do it, as is Mandy, actually. So that is actually kind of unfortunate. But before the Mythos phase ends, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to draw a card. So she will draw. Surprising find. I'm not happy to see this coming out of the deck, but actually I might be with that Brazier Enchantment in play. But we are going to need to get rid of that thing in a hurry. So let's go into the investigation phase, and we'll bring Mandy down to her play. Actually, let's have Jacqueline go first, and let's bring her over. Let's start her at the map. Getting rid of that Brazier Enchantment is priority number 1, but since I know Mystic cards are very expensive, I'm going to go ahead and play Emergency Cash right now while I have a window to get myself an additional 3 resources. Action 2, I'll bring Jacqueline down to make friends with Mandy, and then action 3 will be to draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw. Enchanted Bow, nice. Uses 3 charges, 3 cost to play, lore, will, and agility on commit. As an action, I can exhaust Enchanted Bow to fight, using either will or agility instead of combat, red will, and you get +1 skill value for this attack. Deals +1 damage. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location. If you do, ignore aloof and retaliate for this attack. So that's very welcome there, but that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will actually keep us right here. So first she'll investigate up 3. Elder Thing. Which is -3. If there's a skill test during a circle action and you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location, except we don't fail ties. So we get the clue and a resource from Milan, right here. Action 2, we are going to go ahead and spend 3 resources to play the Tooth of Esley. So that's her accessory slot. And then action 3, we are going to take the test on Brazier Enchantment. So right now the lowest skills for Mandy are combat and agility. Actually, it's will or agility, but we get to choose that. So we're going to choose agility. The Tooth of Esli will then kick in, give me +1 agility. So right now I'm at 5, so I'm down 1 right now. I will use Surprising Find to get to even. I'll use one of my Research Librarians to go up 1. Jacqueline is not going to commit, but she will put one of her uses of her ability into this test. So I'll exhaust, not that it really matters, but I'm going to exhaust Arbiter of Fates to use this ability. So right now, Mandy is up 1. Right, let me just double check that. So, alright, so we're using Combat and Agility as her 2 lowest skills. The Tooth kicks in to give us another 1. Then I committed the Research Librarian and the Surprising Find to go up 1, and I'm using Jacqueline's ability. I'm pulling 3 tokens. And this is technically a circle test, so I do need to be sensitive to the Elder thing. And there are 3 tokens. Okay. Token 1, a -3. A 0, and a skull. I'm not going to bother looking at the skill or at the skull because I'm going to cancel the skull and the -3, which means I'll resolve the 0, which means Brazier Enchantment is gone. So that's very helpful there. Anyway, that will do it for the investigation. That will do it for Mandy. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, still no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and reset everything. Right. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 6. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Jacqueline draws. Another enchanted bow, which we just saw. Mandy draws. Encyclopedia. 2 costs to play, uses 5 secrets, question mark on commit. Action, exhaust Encyclopedia and spend 1 secret. Choose an investigator at your location. That investigator gets +2 to a skill of your choice until the end of the phase. Also, end of round, Whispers of the Dark is gone. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 5. Jacqueline draws. Eager for Death. Revelation test Will 2. Increase this skill test's difficulty by 1 for each damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. If they can catch the fleeing soul when it leaves the body, they instantly flutter away, chittering in demonic laughter. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dunwich Horror. Right now, Jacqueline's up. Jacqueline has no damage on her, so this is a Will 2 test, which means she's up 3. And a 2 horror fail doesn't bother me really too much. Elder thing, which we saw earlier, is a -3 if it's during a circle test and you fail. You resolve each haunted ability, except Jacqueline doesn't fail, so she's clear of that. Mandy draws. Eager for Death. So nice. Let's let Jacqueline do it twice. So Mandy will go up to 3 resources, and Mandy's playing You Handle This One. So Jacqueline's considered to have drawn it instead. Fortunately, it's not a peril, and she gains a resource. So she's up to. So Mandy's up to 3 resources. Jacqueline is once again up 3. Actually, she was up 4 on her first test because that was her first will test. Now she's only up 3. Skull this time we have to look at. -2. If this is a skill test during a circle action, reveal another token. Except it's not during a circle test, so we don't have to reveal another token. Now, I could have easily had Mandy take that test, because Mandy would have been up 3 as well. I mostly wanted the resource, so that's why I did that. But anyway, in the investigation phase now, and first things first, we need to go unlight that brazier at the Forbidding Shore. Mandy can test it's either a will or a lore test. So Mandy's actually up 3 if I use lore to try to unlight it that way. So before we do that, we'll exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to give Mandy a card from it. She will draw. Survey the area. While Survey the area is in your hand or committed to a skill test, gains lore icons equal to your agility, which is 3, and agility equal to your lore, which is 5. I'll go through the flavor text when I actually commit it, but now we're ready for the investigation phase, and let's start Mandy over at the map. Action 1, she's going to try to unlight the brazier. I'm going to use lore to do it. And I'll just test up 3. I'm not going to put Jacqueline's ability into this, even though I probably could. A 0 unlights the brazier. So that was action 1. Action 2 will be to play... Action 2 will go ahead and play Pathfinder to start getting her mobility. So during your turn, if you're not engaged with any enemies, exhaust Pathfinder to move to a connecting location. Searchers after horror haunt strange far places. H.P. Lovecraft, The Picture in the House. Then we'll immediately exhaust Pathfinder to move down to this unvisited isle location. Spectral Mist blocks the way. Check the campaign log. If the investigators sided with the lodge, yada yada yada, except we sided with the coven, you can't enter this location unless the brazier at the Forbidding Shore is unlit, and it is unlit. So we find... Oh, they're connected to each other too. I need one more arrow for that. I'll get that in a second, but... So, ooh, oh my, this is going to be one for Mandy, it looks like, because of Survey the Area. Unvisited Isle, Haunted Spring. Shroud of 2, 4 clues. As an action, circle. Test lore plus agility 9 to reach the brazier in the center of the spring. If you succeed, you may light or unlight the brazier. Haunted, you must either discard an asset you control or take 1 damage. Victory 1. I'll get the 4 clues for that. And the connecting arrow between these two. Now, there's a Pathfinder down, and I've pretty much got all the time in the world. Well, I've got time right now where I could work on that circle. So I'm just going to actually start working on getting clues off this location for action 3. -1. Hey, look at that. Clue and a resource for Mandy. That will do it for Mandy. Jacqueline will stay right here at the map because I can use action 1 to go see what the story is with this unvisited isle. Shroud of 3. Shroud of 3, 4 clues. The circle action here is will and lore 10 to examine the brazier in front of the standing stone. If you succeed, you may light or unlight the brazier for victory 1. Haunted, until the end of the round, increase the difficulty of each skill test during a circle action by 2. We'll get the 4 clues out for that. And then action 2 will be to spend 2 resources to play Read the Signs. This is Investigate plus Will for your skill value. You may ignore any effect or keyword which would trigger on your location. If you succeed, discover one additional clue at your location. A grisly future is laid before you. Do you turn away or do you embrace it? And then, like I was mentioning earlier, this is a little bit different from the circle test on there. Whereas if I had cards with both will and lore icons on them, I'd only get the lore for this test. If I committed to a circle test, I'd get both. And I'm going to go ahead and throw Jacqueline's ability into this just because I want to start working on getting some victory points as well. So I'll exhaust Arbiter of Fates. One, two, three. And Jacqueline's up 5 in this test. So token 1, a 0, which is very welcome. Token 2, a +1, and an Elder Thing. So I'll cancel the Elder Thing and the 0, which means Jacqueline gets 2 clues off of the location. And then action 3, do I keep them together? I think it'll be fine. So action 3... I think I will go ahead and play out an enchanted bow. Mostly so I make sure Jacqueline's got no problems defending herself. So once again, 3 charges on the bow. As an action, I can exhaust the enchanted bow to fight, using either will or agility, red will, instead of combat and deal +1 and get +1 skill value for the attack, dealing +1 damage. And as an additional cost to initiate, I can spend 1 charge to have this attack target a non-elite enemy at a connecting location, and if I do, I ignore aloof and retaliate for this attack. I'll get the 3 charges for that. So now Jacqueline's all set to defend herself. That will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play. I'm not going to bother flipping Jacqueline over. Put that back in the bag, though. We'll reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline and Mandy both will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Jacqueline draws. Come on. Crystal Pendulum. 2 cost to play, +1 will. After a skill test at your location begins, exhaust Crystal Pendulum, name a number. If the skill test succeeds or fails by that number, draw 1 card. Mandy draws. Shocking Discovery. Revelation, shuffle it back into your deck. If you can't, discard and draw the top card of the encounter deck instead. Forced. When you search your deck and this card is among the searched cards, discard it. Cancel the search and all of its effects. Shuffle the searched deck. Draw the top card of the encounter deck. So we'll just shuffle that back in. Because that's all we can do here. Mythos phase, we'll get our 6th Doom on the agenda. Jacqueline draws. Shadowhound. 2/3/1. Prey, lowest agility. Hunter, retaliate. Forced. After Shadowhound attacks you, resolve each haunted ability on your location. The spectral mist coalesces into an incorporeal canine form. Hungry eyes shine from the darkness. 1 damage on attack. Mandy draws. A Whippoorwill. I hate these things. 2/1/4. Aloof. Hunter. Each investigator at Whippoorwill's location gets -1 to everything. It is vowed that the birds are psychopomps lying in wait for the souls of the dying. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dunwich Horror. 1 horror on attack. That is bad for Mandy. But anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Before we leave the Mythos phase, Mandy will exhaust Ancestral Knowledge to get another skill. She will draw. Deduction. This is a sight for sore eyes. 2 lore on commit. If the skill test is successful while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue at that location, 2 additional clues instead if you succeed by 2 or more. I know I had seen this symbol. I'll go through the flavor text when I actually committed, but anyway, into the investigation phase, and I think I know what Jacqueline's doing. Her turn will start us down at her play area. Jacqueline is going monster hunting. Action 1 will put a charge of Shriveling into the Shadow Hound, and I'll exhaust Arbiter of Fates so I can use her special ability. So I'm at 5, 8 to 2. I'm up 6 trying to take that Shadow Hound out. And I've got Jacqueline's ability behind me. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1. A 0. Token 2. Another 0. And the Elder Sign. Let's take a look at Jacqueline's Elder Sign. Come on. There we go. Her Elder Sign is +1. If this effect is cancelled or ignored, draw 1 card. So we'll cancel the Elder Sign and one of the 0s. The Shadow Hound is dead, and Jacqueline will get to draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw. Internal Injury. Forced at the end. Put it into play in your threat area. Forced, at the end of your turn, take 1 direct damage. 2 actions to discard it. Oh joy. Action 2 will exhaust the bow and will spend a charge to target the Whippoorwill at Mandy's location. So, and I'm also going to use Jacqueline's ability on this. 5, 6 to 2. Jacqueline's up 4, trying to take out the Whippoorwill. One, two, three. Token 1. A -1. Token 2. A 0. And a +1. So we'll cancel the 0 and the -1. The Whippoorwill at Mandy's location is dead. And Jacqueline is going to take 1 direct damage at the end of her turn, but action 3, I think we need to get her into her deck a little bit, so she's going to draw a card. Jacqueline will draw Storm of Spirits. This could prove handy. Will and 2 combat on commit. Fight using will instead of combat. You get +2 will for the attack. If you succeed, instead of standard damage, deal 3 damage to every enemy at your location. Any additional damage is dealt to the attacked enemy, but if you pull a bad symbol, deal 2 damage to each investigator at your location. So, end of the round, Jacqueline will take 1 direct damage. I'm going to need to get rid of that internal injury sooner rather than later. Mandy's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1 will investigate, and I'll commit deduction. More because I'm interested in getting the clues off that location in 1 shot. So 6, 8 to 2. Mandy's up 6. -2 gets her all 3 clues. We have victory points, folks. And she has another resource as well, bringing her up to 3. Action 2, we're going to take that circle test. So right now, that's lore plus agility 9. 6. Actually, she's at 9. She's even right now. And I will commit Survey the Area to put her up by a lot. So, let's see. So, lore equal to her agility, which is another 3. So, right now she's at... So we established that she's at 6, 9. So, another 3 lore brings her up to 12. She's up 3. Plus 6 agility, she's up 9. Elder Thing, which as we saw, it's a skill test during a circle action, and you fail, resolve each haunted ability, except Mandy was up 9, so that brazier is unlit as well. And then action 3, I will move Mandy over to join Jacqueline. Anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, actually, we'll Pathfinder over instead. I'm very dumb, I keep forgetting I've got Pathfinder, so... Yeah, back that up slightly. We'll Pathfinder over to the Unvisited Isle. And then action 3 will actually be to investigate. So, I did get the resource from Milan. So, anyway, we're going to investigate a Shroud of 3, 5, 6. Mandy's up 3. A 0 gets her another clue. And another resource from Milan. Anyway, now that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we still have no enemies in play, so we'll go ahead and reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource, goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes to 5. Jacqueline draws. Clairvoyance level 5. This would be a sight for sore eyes if my arcane slots weren't currently full. But I do want to empty my arcane as fast as I can. Uses 3 charges. Action, spend a charge to investigate. Investigate using will instead of lore. Plus 3 lore for this investigation. Plus 3 will, I should say. If you succeed, discover 2 additional clues at this location, but if you pull a good symbol, take 2 horror. Mandy draws. I've got a plan. Fight using lore. Deal +1 damage for this attack for each clue you have to a max of +3. 3 cost to play, lore and combat on commit. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 7. Jacqueline draws. Unavoidable Demise. Revelation, test agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you succeed, put it into play next to the agenda deck. While Unavoidable Demise is next to the agenda deck, each other copy of Unavoidable Demise gets +1 difficulty and deals +1 damage if you fail. Let's see, does Jacqueline have any agility she wants to commit? I may have to throw her ability at this. How about, she doesn't. How about Mandy? Throw her ability at it and hope for a pull? Does not seem like a great plan. But yeah, I think we'll just test it even and hope for a pull. Which we get, shockingly enough. Alright, so that does go into play next to the agenda deck, which is somewhat unfortunate. Mandy draws. Nether Mist. Prey, investigator at the location with the most clues. Aloof Hunter. Nether Mist's location gains haunted. Nether Mist attacks you. We beseech the dead, but do we really wish to see them? Victory 1. 1 and 1 on attack. So it is aloof, fortunately, which means we can pretty much just ignore it. But anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Before we leave it, Mandy will draw. That is her last card already from under Ancestral Knowledge. So Mandy draws. Another deduction, which is a sight for sore eyes. I'll probably need that later. But anyway, we're into the investigation phase now, and Mandy will start us off at the map. Action 1, Mandy will investigate. She's up... out of 3, she's up 3. -2 gets her the last clue and another resource to bring her up to 6. Then action 2, I think she's going to take the circle test. So this is her first will test, which means right now she's at 6. Right now she's even. Let's see if we've got any will or lore to commit. Both will count. I'll save that for later. Mandy will commit an opportunist to go up 1. Jacqueline will give her... We'll give her her other enchanted bow to put her up 2 and one of the uses of her ability. So we're up 2 and we're throwing Jacqueline's ability into this as well. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1. A +1, token 2, a -3, and a skull. I'm not going to bother looking at the skull once again. I know it impacts you during a circle test, but that will cancel. We'll cancel those two. So I think we were up 2 going into the test, and Mandy committed opportunist, so that last brazier is unlit. And then do we advance? I think we advance before we go into action 3. So we'll spend Mandy's 6 clues. 2, 4, 6. Okay. Right. The mist returns. You venture deeper and deeper into the overgrown woods, a timid voice in the back of your mind urging you to flee this place and never return. The dark mist becomes so dense you can hardly see anything. You shout for any of your companions, but there is no response. Just the sway of dying tree branches in the wind and the thump of your heart pounding in your chest. Each investigator must choose one of the randomly set-aside unvisited isle locations, put it into play in front of her, and immediately move to that location. Can't be cancelled. If the investigators sided with the Coven, the brazier at each of these locations is already lit. Place a resource token on each of those locations to signify this. Shuffle each of the set-aside story cards beneath the scenario reference card and deal one of them at random to each investigator until all of them have been dealt. In player order, resolve each of the dealt story cards. Okay, so... Alright, so we have to choose one of the set-aside unvisited isle locations, which are right here. Okay, we'll cut those, and those will be the 2. So we'll move... So we'll do it like that, and then each investigator moves to those locations, which we can't cancel. Then since we sided with the Coven, the brazier is already lit. So we'll do it that way, and then shuffle each of the sets of the story cards beneath the scenario reference card, and deal 1 to each investigator at random until all of them have been dealt. So I'm just going to do this behind my back. Sorry, I'm doing all this off camera, but I'm trying to explain at least what I'm doing. Then deal 1 at random to each investigator until all of them have been dealt. In player order, resolve each of the story cards. So we'll do it like that. Alright, and then resolve each of the cards. So Jacqueline got dealt Penny. So check the missing persons section of the campaign log. If Penny disappeared into the mist and you're on Penny's trail, Penny was taken by the Watcher and we're not on her trail. So we go to other. You find Penny's apron lying on the ground, covered in blood. There is no other sign of her. Uh-oh. That could be a problem. And then we got dealt Jerome's card. Check the missing persons section of the campaign log. If Jerome disappeared into the mist and you're on Jerome's trail, Jerome was also taken by the Watcher, but we were on Jerome's trail. Otherwise, you find a scrap of paper from Jerome's pocket notebook on the ground. It simply reads, "Help." That's moderately depressing. Anyway, we also have two new locations, so we'll take a look at Jacqueline's first, since we've moved both of them there. So we find... So Jacqueline, and remember, the brazier's already lit at both of these. Jacqueline's location. Shroud of 2, 4 clues. The circle action here is to test Will plus Combat 11 to clear a path through the woods. If you succeed, you may light or unlight the brazier. Haunted, you must either search the encounter deck and discard pile for a whippoorwill and spawn it at this location, or the nearest whippoorwill attacks you. Victory 1. So we'll get the 4 clues for that. Yep. 1 fell in. There are the 4 clues going on Jacqueline's unvisited Isle Forsaken Woods location. And then Mandy's location. Shroud of 4, 4 clues. Circle, test Combat and Agility 10 to explore the mossy steps. If you succeed, you may light or unlight the brazier at the top. Haunted, your next move action this round costs 1 additional action. Victory 1. So we'll get the 4 clues for that. Oop, that's an Edge of the Earth clue. Alright, there are the 4 clues for that. Okay, so that's everything set up. Surprise? Okay, that's a mild surprise, but whatever. We can deal with that. Fated Souls, Act 2A. The trap set by the Silver Twilight Lodge has drawn the attention of the spectral realm and its inhabitants. One way or another, those who are trapped in the mist will end up here. And each investigator cannot leave the location in front of him or her. And we need 4 clues to advance, except there doesn't seem to be any kind of restriction. And advancing Act 1 didn't instruct us to lose clues, so we have an extra 4 clues to spend, so we can advance that right away as well. Before long, the Revenant arrives. It rises from the depths of the Miskatonic River, unfazed by the water or the mist. Sensing fear and blood, it glides slowly toward the island with its arm outstretched. Its gaze brings dismay. Its grasp brings death. Spawn the Spectral Watcher at the Miskatonic River. Okay. Right. I think we're going to need those in a second, but right now I'm looking for everything with the Spectral Watcher. We've seen the Spectral Watcher all campaign. Viewer its prey, 353, alert and hunter. Forced, when the Spectral Watcher is defeated, instead of discarding it, heal all damage from it, disengage it from all investigators, and exhaust it. It does not ready during the upkeep phase this round. There's no escaping fate. 1 and 1 on attack. Starts off with the Miskatonic River. And we shuffle each set-aside copy of the Watcher's Grasp and Watcher's Gaze. Which reminds me, the return scenario actually does give us something with Watcher's Grasp, and I'm sure we'll see it later in the scenario. While resolving the Watcher's Grasp treachery, the Spectral Watcher does not exhaust after it attacks. Attach this card to the scenario reference card as a reminder. So I'm sure we'll see that at some point. Then we shuffle those in. Yep, Yep, that goes into the deck along with the discard pile. Yep. Come on. Okay, so that's shuffled in. Put the set aside dice trap location into play. If the investigators sided with the coven, which we did, the brazier is already lit. We'll place a resource token on there. So the Geist trap. The path leading to the site of the ritual is hidden by the spectral mist. You can't enter the Geist trap. Above the treetops, the pillar of ghostly mist rises, covering the sky with spectral faces and desperate clawing hands. You're getting close now. I think we'll connect that probably down here. Also, there's one more clause on here which I haven't gotten to yet. We'll set the connecting arrows out, but we can't get in there yet. And that's where the other clause is where these arrows are coming into play. They all connect to each other as well. Return the location in front of each investigator to the center of the play area. Investigators are no longer prevented from leaving their location. So Mandy will end up, we'll put that here, but again, they're all connected to each other. And then Jacqueline end up here. Okay, and I think that is finally everything. Oh, need another connecting arrow there. Okay, so now we've got all that handled. Let's look at Act 3A, Beyond the Mist. It was a different version based on events of the campaign. You are close to the site of the binding ritual. The braziers have already been lit, enabling the trap. You will have to unlight each of them in order to break the circle. During a circle action, spend 1 clue. Reduce the difficulty of this skill test by 2. Objective: if each unvisited isle location in play is revealed and the brazier on each of them is unlit, advance. Okay, so we need to unlight these locations, which means we're going to need clues to do that, which will be Mandy's action 3 at the moss-covered steps. So she's going to commit deduction to this. So she's at 6. She's going to commit deduction to go up 4, and we'll give her opportunist as well to put her up 5. Mostly so I can have it as a free commit. Skull, which we need to be sensitive to. -2, if this is a skill test during a circle action, reveal another token, except it's a regular investigate. And we pass by, okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9 to 4. That's a -2, so we succeed by 3, which means we get 3 clues, and opportunist comes back to our hand. So that's discarded. That will do it for Mandy. Now let's move over to Jacqueline. Having Jacqueline pick off that nether mist is actually not a terrible idea. And plus we need to get one of her arcane slots empty so I can play out clairvoyance at some point and start getting her in on the clue action as well. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself there. For actions 1 and 2, Jacqueline will discard internal injury because I don't need to be taking more damage. Action 3 will exhaust the enchanted bow and spend a charge off of it, and use Jacqueline's special ability to target the nether mist. So she's up 5, 6. She's up 3, pulling 3 tokens. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1 is a -2. Token 2 a -1 and a -3. So we'll cancel the -2 and the -3. That's a pretty easy decision. And then the Nether Mist will take 2 damage. Oop. Why am I putting that on the location? Putting that on the Nether Mist. But anyway, that goes back in the bag, and that will do it for Jacqueline in the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Nether Mist moves to the location with the investigator at the location with the most clues, so it moves toward Jacqueline. The Spectral Watcher moves down to the Forbidding Shore. And then we'll go ahead and ready everything. Get all these exhaustion markers off. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 7. Jacqueline draws. Prophetic, ooh. 3 cost to play, 2 will on commit, uses 2 resources. Replenish these resources at the start of each round. Resources on Prophetic may be spent to pay for fortune, spell, or spirit cards. Fast action, there's a reaction, actually fast action, during a skill test on same, spend 1 resource. You get +1 skill value for this test. Mandy draws. Magnifying lens, fast, +1 lore while investigating. Mythos phase, we advance the agenda. All right. Stolen souls. The mist obscures the moon, plunging the woods into darkness. A flock of birds suddenly scatter from the treetops. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck, which we shuffled that when we advanced the agenda. Check the missing persons section of the campaign log. If at least 1 character was taken by the Watcher, read the following. Beyond the spectral mist, an awful scream resounds through the woods. It is distant, as though heard through a pane of glass, but distinct enough for you to know it's real. For each character that was taken by the Watcher, place 1 resource on the Spectral Watcher. As a stolen soul, even if the Spectral Watcher is currently out of play. Until the end of the scenario, the Spectral Watcher gains the following text. For each stolen soul on the Spectral Watcher, it gets +1 fight and +1 health. Keep this card next to the agenda deck as a reminder and advance to event agenda 2A. So we have 2 stolen souls because both Jerome and Penny were taken by the Watcher. So right now that's actually a fight of... So it's actually a fight of 5 and health of 9. Gross. Fortunately, it doesn't get that in evasion. So I may have to have Mandy start playing patty cake with him. But anyway, let's take a look at Agenda 2A. Crossroads of Fate. As you continue through the woods, you notice the dark mist which has permeated the island is starting to drift away from the shoreline toward the center of the island where the beacon of spectral energy still rises into the sky. 10 doom to advance that. Jacqueline draws. Spectral Raven. 2s across the board. Alert, Hunter, Retaliate. Forced. After Spectral Raven engages you, you must either resolve each haunted ability on your location, or Spectral Raven gains +2 fight and +2 evade until the end of the investigation phase, 1 and 1. Let's see. Nether Mist's haunted location gains haunted. Nether Mist attacks you. I think I'm going to give this +2 fight and +2 evade. Because Jacqueline can probably still take it out. Mainly because I don't want to get attacked, and searching the deck for a Whippoorwill sounds like a very bad plan right now. Mandy draws. Mist from Beyond. Attached to your location, it gets +1 Shroud. Force. At the end of the round, if there are no clues on attached location, move Mists from Beyond once toward the nearest location with 1 or more clues. So that's turning her location into a Shroud of 5, which Mandy can probably still get past, but I don't want to get ahead of myself there. But anyway, that will do it for the Mythos phase. Investigation phase now, and... Yeah, I think we'll start off with Jacqueline and start... I gotta think about this, because the Spectral Watcher, we're probably going to send him to Mandy to play patty cake with him. We're going to have Mandy probably play patty cake with him. We also need to get these locations unlit, though. Which Mandy will probably have a decent shot at doing that this turn. We'll probably have a decent shot with her unvisited isle this turn. But yeah, let's start with Jacqueline, and we'll start in her play area. Action 1 will spend 3 resources to play Storm of Spirits. And we have to target the Spectral Raven because it's the only thing engaged with us right now. So we get +2 will for this attack, which means we're at 7, we're up 3, and I'm going to use one of Jacqueline's charges on her special ability. So right now I'm up 3 trying to take everything out. The Nether Mist will get caught in this as well. One, two, three. All right. Token 1. A -3. Token 2. An Elder Thing. And a skull. So I'll cancel the skull and the Elder Thing, which means I resolve a -3, and I was up 3, so everything there takes 3 damage. The Spectral Raven's defeated, as is the Nether Mist, and we get victory points out of that. Very nice work there, Jacqueline. That's gone. Then action 2... I think actions 2 and 3 are both taking resources. So I can plan on hopefully getting Clairvoyance to the board next turn. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will take us over to the map. Action 1, I'm actually going to play the Encyclopedia. So as an action, I can exhaust this and spend a secret to give an investigator my location +2 to a skill of my choice until the end of the phase. 2 resources for that. I'll get the 5 secrets out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. Action 2, I will investigate, and I'm up 1. Let's use Opportunist and Magnifying Glass to go up 3. -1 gets her the last clue, but it does lose its Opportunist. So we get the last clue, a resource from Milan. And then action 3, I'm going to perform the circle test. So I'm testing combat and agility 10, which right now I'm at 4 on that? That actually might be a bad plan. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit tight on the circle action. I did not realize that was a 4. I probably will wait until I can put Jacqueline's ability behind this as well. But I will move her, I'll Pathfinder her over to Jacqueline. Will and combat 11. That's not much better, but I think I can probably get past that a little more easily. And then action 3, Mandy will investigate up 4. Skull, as we saw earlier, was -2 and sensitive to a circle test, which this is not. So Mandy gets another clue, and she gets a resource from Milan, and that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Spectral Watcher will make friends with Mandy, who will deal 1 and 1 on attack. Anyway, that will do it for the enemy phase. We'll go ahead and reset everything. That one stood up on end, and then we'll move back up top after I reset those two. We'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline will gain 1 resource and go to 4. Mandy will gain 1 resource and go to 8. Jacqueline will draw another Storm of Spirits. This could come in handy this round. Mandy draws Amnesia. Revelation. Choose and discard all but 1 card from your hand. Wait, where am I? What was I doing? Joy, joy. Well, fortunately, this is a good time for this to hit. I've got a plan and discard Research Librarian. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda. We get our first Doom on the last agenda. Jacqueline draws Supernatural Tempest. Test Agility 5. If you fail, choose and discard X cards from your play area and or hand with total printed resource cost of at least X, where X is the amount you failed by. Let's see, I'm not terribly broken up about this, I don't think. So I'm down 3. How much do I want to protect her hand? Actually, this might be kind of helpful because this would get rid of the bow so I can put Clairvoyance into play. But anyway, we are down 3. Skull is another -2, so it does fail us by 5. Which means it'll be the bow. It'll be the bow and the crystal pendulum. Yep, okay. And then Mandy draws Brazier Enchantment. Oh joy. Increase the... Okay, we saw this earlier, but Jacqueline we were able to get rid of it. So lowest skill plus next lowest skill. Right. And that Spectral Watcher's got 9 health. Well, I think we definitely need to plan on getting... Oh, and then at end of round, Mists from Beyond should actually move to an Unvisited Isle, Forsaken Woods. So we have a Shroud of 3 now. But we also need to deal with this Spectral Watcher, which I think we can? We should be able to. I definitely need to get rid of that Brazier Enchantment sooner rather than later. But I think we need to try to exhaust the Spectral Watcher now, so... Or do we just try to get the clues off of there and Gitfo? That's another plan as well. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. So I think we'll start off with Jacqueline and we'll start in her play area. Action 1 for Jacqueline will be to spend all 4 of her resources to play Clairvoyance. So we're investigating using will instead of lore. +3 will for the attack, or for the investigation. If we succeed, we discover 2 additional clues. But if we pull a good symbol, take 2 horror. I'm only going to get 2 charges for that, because action 2 is going to be investigate, and I'm going to throw one of the charges of Jacqueline's ability into this. So that's a Shroud of 3. Right now she's at 8, she's up 5, and I'm pulling 3 tokens. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1. The tentacle, so we'll have to probably cancel that. Token 2. A -1 and an Elder Thing, which as we saw, the Elder Thing's a -3 sensitive to circle. But we cancel the tentacle, so we were up 5, which means we still get all 3 clues. And we take no horror because we didn't reveal a good symbol. And then action 3, that's a fight of 5 with 9 health. Do we try to attack it? Because we can only do 7 damage this turn to the Spectral Watcher. No, I think we just try to evade it. That's circle action. Actually, that counts for any circle actions, so the Brazier Enchantment is also a circle action, so I could spend a clue to reduce that difficulty. Because right now it's a 4. That might be a worthwhile idea, though. Because that's using combat and agility right now. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So action 3 will be the circle action on the Brazier Enchantment. I'll spend a clue to bring Jacqueline to even. And I've got another open gate in the deck, so I'll spend it to go up 1. The question is, which is a more important test? I can deal with the Spectral Watcher beating on us for a few turns, so I think I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability into this one, because we need the circle actions to advance the act, so 3 tokens. One, two, three. Token 1. -3. Token 2. A skull. And a +1. So we'll cancel the skull and the -3. So we do get rid of Brazier Enchantment. Anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. Now we'll move down to Mandy and we'll move into her play area. Action 1, we are going to try to evade the Spectral Watcher. And I've got no agility to commit, so Mandy's going to have to do this at even. Elder Sign. We've seen Jacqueline's Elder Sign a couple of times this scenario. Well, at least once anyway. But anyway, Mandy's Elder Sign is a +0. Search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card and either draw it or commit it to this test if able. Shuffle your deck. I'm going to go... 6 deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because remember, I do get to draw the card. I can draw the card as well if I want to. Instead, card 1, Occult Evidence, which we'll get this anyway. So when you search your deck and it's among the searched cards, reveal it, draw it and discover 1 clue at your location, which we have the location empty of clues. Card 2, Through the Gates, which can probably F off. Card 3, Burning the Midnight Oil, which we probably won't need until later. Card 4, Nevermind, Shocking Discovery. So we don't get anything from it. So we finish resolving the test, which means the Spectral Watcher will get evaded, but we'll have to draw the top card of the encounter deck. Actually, I think we draw the top card of the encounter deck immediately when we reveal it. I don't know how the timing works on that. I'll have to get a ruling on that. See, I think we draw the top card of the encounter deck now, and then we finish resolving the test. Mandy draws. Impending Evils, Peril. Revelation, I either take 1 and 1, or I put Impending Evils next to the agenda deck and it gains Surge. If there are 3 copies of Impending Evils next to the agenda deck, discard them and advance the current agenda. Advancing the current agenda would just end the game because we're on the last one. So, I think we'll just take the 1 and 1 that I would have taken from the Spectral Watcher's attack anyway. But he is evaded, so that was action 1. Action 2, what is the circle test there? The circle test is Will and Combat. Which right now is not great for Mandy. Right now it's a 5, and I have to spend... Now it's a 5 and I have to spend... Well, the Charge of Encyclopedia could work to give another... Actually, that might be a better one for Jacqueline to do, and I especially want to be able to throw Jacqueline's ability into these circle tests, but getting a little bit ahead of myself there. Yeah, so we don't really have an action... Actually, we might be able to make this work, so I think I will go ahead for action 2, exhaust the encyclopedia to give Mandy... +2 combat. And then action... Actually, no. Let's not do that. That's a dumb idea. Action 2, I'll just draw a card. So Mandy will draw. Survey the area, which would be probably more helpful at the unvisited... At the moss-covered... What is this? Moss-covered steps. We saw this earlier when Mandy aced a circle... aced the... lore and agility circle test with flying colors. So we'll probably want that there. Then action 3 will draw another card. So Mandy will draw. Eon Chart level 4. This is also very welcome. Lore, agility, and wildcard on commit. Uses 3 secrets. During your charge, exhaust Eon Chart and spend 1 secret. Choose and take 2 of the following actions in any order. Move, evade, or investigate. That will do it for Mandy. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy exhausted the Spectral Watcher, who will now immediately wake up and make friends with Mandy once again. Because again, we're probably gonna have to play patty cake with him for a while, but let's move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains a resource and goes to 1. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 9. Jacqueline draws. Medicio della Peste. Limit 1 mask in play. After it enters play, you heal 1 damage or 1 horror. When you initiate a non-will test, discard Medicio della Peste. Use will for this test instead of the skill indicated. Mandy draws Occult Evidence. Shuffle it into your deck. When you search your deck and occult evidence is among the searched cards, reveal it, draw it, and discover one clue at your location, max 1 research per search. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 2. Jacqueline draws Impending Evils. This is the same card Mandy had from Shocking Discovery, and she'll do the same thing with it. Take 1 and 1, because I don't want to put that next to the agenda deck either. 1 and 1. Mandy draws From the other side, test Agility 3. If you fail, resolve each haunted ability on your location. If you fail by 3 or more, resolve each of them twice instead. Oh joy. Haunted would search the deck for a Whippoorwill and spawn it, which is not something I want to see right now. So I'm up 1 because of the tooth. I'll use Occult Evidence to go up 2. Like I said, mostly because I don't want to be pulling a lot of Whippoorwills. So up 2. Skull, as we saw, is -2, and this is not a circle test. So Mandy passes that. We'll exhaust the tooth to draw a card, so Mandy will draw Your Worst Nightmare. Not something I wanted to see right now, but I can probably deal with it pretty easily. Anyway, we're into the investigation phase now, and unfortunately, I think Jacqueline needs to go first. Question is, what do I need to have Jacqueline... What's the most pressing problem I've got right now? Honestly, probably that Your Worst Nightmare, because I think Mandy can probably evade the Spectral Watcher. Doing the... Let's see, that's Will and Combat for Jacqueline, which right now, she's at 7 on that. I can get her... I think this will work. I think I can get Jacqueline to a point where, with a pull, I can probably pass that test. I'll have to spend her clues to knock that down to a more manageable number, but I think I can work with that. So anyway, Jacqueline will go first and will drop into her play area. Action 1, I'm going to put a charge of Shriveling into Your Worst Nightmare, and I'm going to put Jacqueline's ability behind it via Arbiter of Fates. I would engage it, but I don't think I'm going to have time for this, because I also want to get Jacqueline out of there so I can use... Well, I might not need her ability by the time I get Mandy over there, hopefully, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Anyway, charge of Shriveling into Your Worst Nightmare, so 8 to 2, she's up 6 trying to take it out. And Mandy can't touch it. One, two, three. Token 1. A +1. Token 2, another +1, and token 3, a -1. So we'll cancel a -1 and a +1, and Your Worst Nightmare can go toodaloo. So we'll do that, and that's a Will and Combat test. So action 2, Jacqueline's going to attempt the circle test there. She'll spend 2 clues to knock that down by 1 clue per, so she's knocking it down by 4 to 7. I'm going to commit Prophetic to put her up 2. I'll keep that for later, but I'm going to throw her ability at this. So I'm up 2 on the circle test, and I'm putting her ability into this. Okay. Token 1, a 0. Token 2, a skull, and a 0. So I'll cancel one of the zeros and the skull, which means the brazier at the unvisited Isle Forsaken Woods is now unlit. And then action 3 will take us over to the map. Plan A is going to be Mandy passes this test naturally, but Plan B is going to involve Jacqueline's action 3 as we move her over to the unvisited Isle moss-covered steps. So next turn, I'll have Jacqueline's ability available to Mandy in case I need it. Speaking of Mandy, let's get into her turn. Action 1, she's going to try to evade the Spectral Watcher. As much as I don't want to do it, I think I've got to commit Eon Chart to go up 2. A +1 gets her away from the Spectral Watcher. Then Mandy will Pathfinder over toward Jacqueline. Let's see. And that's combat and agility, which right now she's at 6. Plus I've got another 6 in hand with survey the area. So yeah, action 2 will be to the circle test on here. So we'll spend a clue to bring that down to an 8. And then I'll commit survey the area. I only get the agility from it, unfortunately, but I do get 6 agility. So right now, Mandy was at actually 4. Okay, yeah, 4. I think Tooth of Esley. No, that's a location. That wouldn't count. Okay, so I knocked that down to an 8, which she's still down 4. Okay, let me think this through a little bit. So, for action, okay, let me think this through. So back up. I haven't used my second action yet. It's probably going to be it's probably still is going to be the circle test, but I think for action 2, first I will give her. Oh right, I think I'll use the encyclopedia this time to actually remember to give her +2 combat. So right now she's at a 6 on that. And then action 3 will be the circle. So I'll spend a clue. Actually, I'll spend 3 clues to bring that down to being a 4. Yeah, I'll bring that down to a 4, and then I'll get 6 agility from this. So I'm up. Let's see, that's a 10. I've got 6 agility from survey the area. So I'm up 12. I'm up 6. Actually, no, I'm up 8. I can't do first grade math today for some reason. Elder Thing, as we saw earlier, is a -3. If it's a circle action and you fail, we have to resolve each haunted ability, except this is a circle action, but we don't fail. So the brazier there is unlit. So that's gone. And if each unvisited isle location is in play is revealed, which they all are, and the braziers are all unlit, which they are, we advance. Alright. Alright. Against the Lodge. After nearly an hour spent searching through the dense mist, you finally arrive at the site of the Lodge's ritual, only to find it in chaos. Members of the Silver Twilight Lodge, each wearing robes of blue and silver, are embroiled in battle with the witches. The ritual has neared completion, Carl Sanford yells to you from across the clearing. Bring the Revenant here and end this. Glaring at the man, you refuse. He looks surprised for a moment, then growls. So, you are on their side after all. How disappointing. He turns to his inner circle and commands, kill them. Do not let them interfere. Reveal the Geist Trap location. Move each investigator at an unvisited isle location to the Geist Trap. Shuffle the set-aside Silver Twilight Lodge encounter set into the deck, along with the discard pile. Check the campaign log. If Joseph is alive and well, spawn the set-aside Joseph Miger enemy at the Geist Trap. Investigators cannot parlay with Joseph Miger for the remainder of the game. So I'm going to do this in reverse. Joseph... Where was he? Joseph disappeared into the mist, so he's not alive and well. I'll grab the Silver Twilight Lodge encounter set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we shuffle that in along with the discard pile. All right, give that a cut. And what was the last thing? Oh yes, reveal the Geist Trap and move every investigator to it. So we find Shroud of 4, 2 clues. While the Spectral Watcher is at the Geist Trap, it gains Retaliate. Plus, as the action circle, test all of your skills 20 to complete the ritual or to disrupt it. If you succeed, you may either light or unlight the brazier here. Haunted, take 1 and 1. So we'll move both of our investigators there. We'll get the 2 clues for it. Okay, and I believe it's already... Oh, okay, it doesn't say anything about it coming in... Oh, I think it was lit already from the... Right, it was lit because we started the... Alright, Act 4A, The Broken Right. At the center of the clearing lies the Spectral Trap, a pillar of ghostly energy which swirls about a stone obelisk. Hundreds of phantasmal faces and a conglomeration of rotted limbs and flesh intertwine within. A revolting display of death and despair. A silver brazier stands in front of the pillar, its blue flame flickering in the wind. During a circle action, spend 1 clue. Reduce the difficulty of the skill test by 2. Objective: if the Spectral Watcher is defeated at the Geist Trap while the brazier there is unlit, advance. That is a 20 test? Yikes. Well, first things first, we need to get those clues off that location, but we're stuck at the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, our only enemy right now is the Spectral Watcher. So we basically... So barring anything happening, we have a turn head start to get set up. Fortunately, we only have to pass that test once, and that sounds like a very sexy target for Jacqueline's special ability, but I'm getting more than a little bit ahead of myself. Let's move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 2. Mandy gains 1 resource and goes to 10. Jacqueline draws. Another copy of Shriveling. This is very beautiful to see right now. Mandy draws. Quick thinking. If the skill test is successful by 2 or more, after it resolves, you may immediately take an action as if it were your turn. This action does not count toward the number of actions you can take each turn. At the end of the round, Mists from Beyond actually will move down to the Geist Trap because everything's connected to there. So that's now a Shroud of 5, which is a bit of a problem, but I think we can probably deal with that. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 3. Jacqueline draws. Death approaches, Surge and Peril. Add death approaches to any investigator's threat area. When you would take 1 or more horror, take 2 additional horror, and discard death approaches. I'll put that in Jacqueline's threat area. Unfortunately, it does surge, so Jacqueline draws. Lodge Neophyte, spawn any empty location, aloof, forced. After it enters play, place a doom on it. As an action at Parlay, test Lore 2, or Will 2. If you succeed, remove all doom from Lodge Neophyte. So, fortunately, we're gonna put him actually all the way up at the Miskatonic River. Mandy draws. Impending Evils, Peril. We saw this earlier. Mandy's just gonna take the 1-1. Mostly so we don't have to deal with just advancing the agenda and losing the game on the spot. But anyway, so we're into the investigation phase now, and we've got a relatively quiet board. Basically, we're just waiting for the Spectral Watcher to come down to us. So I think we will have... if I can get that brazier unlit this turn, that would be great. So I think to that end, we'll start with... Do we start with Mandy or do we start with Jacqueline? I guess who's probably going to be taking the circle test? I could probably have... Mandy's going to need 2 actions to get both those clues off. Jacqueline can probably get them in 1. If I throw one of her charges of her ability at this. Is that you may perform? That's you may perform. Okay. So, actually, no, I think this works. So I'll have Jacqueline go first, and we'll move down to her play area. Action 1, Jacqueline will start off with a charge of Clairvoyance to investigate the Geist Trap. So right now she's at 5, 8 to 4. Mandy will commit Quick Thinking to go up 5, and I'll put Jacqueline's ability via Arbiter of Fates into this. I've got a little bit of a plan here that should involve clearing that circle test this round. So, right. So we're up 4, actually we're up 5, pulling 3 tokens. And canceling 2 of them. One, two, three. Okay. Token 1 is a +1, which I do need to be careful of, because if I take 2 horror, I'm actually taking 4, but I get rid of death approaches. Token 2, an Elder Thing, which this is not a circle action, so I'm not worried about that. And focus. There we go. The Tentacle. So I do have to cancel the Tentacle, but that nets to a -2. So Jacqueline actually does take 4 horror. That was what I was afraid of, but it does get us rid of death approaches. So that nets out to a -2, which means Jacqueline still passes by 3. So Jacqueline takes 4 horror, death approaches is gone. But Mandy does get to take an immediate action as if it were her turn. So for her action, she'll spend a charge from Encyclopedia to give Jacqueline +2 of something. +2, what do we have in hand? Well, anything I've got counts toward this. So +2 combat, I guess. So that's Mandy's Quick Thinking action. Now for action 2 for Jacqueline, she's going to take that crazy... Actually, she gets the 2 clues, which she's probably immediately going to spend for the circle test. So we're going to knock that down to a 16. Jacqueline right now, thanks to the +2 combat, is at 9, 12, 14. Jacqueline's going to commit her Medicio della Peste to get up to 16. And Storm of Spirits to go up 3, and I'll put her other charge of her ability into this. So we've got 3 charges. We're pulling 3 tokens once again, canceling 2. Let me just make sure I've got this right. So that's a 20. I spent 2 clues to bring it down to a 16. During a circle action, yep, spend 1 clue. I don't think Mandy can activate that, or otherwise I would love to. But, yeah, so up. So that's a 16 right now. Jacqueline is at, we gave her +2 combat. So 9, 11, 14, 16, 19. So yeah, up 3, and I'm using Jacqueline's ability. One, two, three. Token 1, a -2. Token 2, a skull, and a +1. So I'll cancel the -2 and the skull, so I don't have to worry about the circle test, which means the brazier at the Geist Trap is unlit. So now we're kind of playing the waiting game at this point. Now we're just waiting for the Spectral Watcher to come down and make friends. I am taking a little bit of a risk in using Storm of Spirits there, just in case we get swarmed. But if we don't get swarmed, I think we probably take out... I think we can probably take out the Spectral Watcher next turn. And then action 3 will be to... I'll have enough resources to play Shriveling. I think I just draw a card. So Jacqueline will draw. Draw into the Flame, which is highly useless right now. Draw the top card of the encounter deck, then discover 2 clues at your location. That will probably end up being a skill commit. But anyway, that will do it for Jacqueline. That will do it for Jacqueline. Mandy's turn will take us over. Oh, I flipped over Jacqueline, or flipped over Mandy, not Jacqueline. Mandy's turn, I think, will be very uneventful. I think I mostly want skill commits right now, so let's move over to Mandy's play area. Actually, there are a couple of cards right now that would hardly be a sight for sore eyes. So action 1, I'll draw a card. Mandy will draw. Dream Diary, Dreams of an Explorer. We are at a location with 5 Shroud right now, so Essence of the Dream would have 2 additional question marks, which might be a very tempting thing to do. So when your turn begins, search your bonded cards for Essence of the Dream and add it to your hand. I'm going to dig one more time, just because there's a card. I would say that's the number 2 card I wanted to see right now. There's one card I want to see even more than that. So we'll draw again. We'll draw. Strange Solution, Acidic Ichor. Okay, this is actually good too, though. Uses 3 secrets. I can spend a supply to fight with a base of 6, dealing +2 damage. So this is a decision. I think I will spend 2 resources for action 3 to play out the Dream Diary, and I'll go fish out my Essence of the Dream and put it under the Dream Diary. It's not necessarily the card like I said, it's not the top of the list I wanted. I think Acidic Ichor is probably number 3 on that list. I really wanted to see Occult Lexicon there, though, but I'm not going to complain too much about getting Essence of the Dream, especially since we are at a Shroud of 5 right now. Essence of the Dream will be an extra 4 skill commits, but anyway, that will do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, just what we wanted. The Spectral Watcher moves in, and I'm going to have him make friends with Jacqueline. So, yeah, we'll have him make friends with Jacqueline. Jacqueline's a little more durable, but not much more durable right now. So she'll take 1 and 1 on the attack. Then we'll go ahead and reset everything. And we'll move back up top after I flip over the ladies. We'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jacqueline gains 1 resource and goes to 3. Mandy gains 1 and goes back up to 9. Jacqueline draws. Another clairvoyance, which I'm not happy to see right now. Mandy draws. Pantalone, 1 cost to play, lore and wildcard on commit, limit 1 in play. After it enters play, draw 2 cards. When you initiate a non-lore test, discard Pantalone, use lore for this test instead of the skill indicated. Mythos phase, due on the agenda goes up to 4, but we're at 5 in play because of the Lodge Neophyte. Jacqueline draws. Unavoidable Demise, test agility 2. If you fail, take 2 damage. Oh, this is bad, because we've got 1 next to the deck. If you succeed, put it into play next to the threat area. When Avoidable Demise is next to the agenda deck, each other copy of Unavoidable Demise gets +1 difficulty and deals +1 damage if failed. Jacqueline's down 1. This is very bad timing. Mandy's got to commit Pantalone into it, and I've got to put Jacqueline's ability into this, because I cannot lose Jacqueline right now. Losing Jacqueline right now would be absolutely catastrophic, because I wouldn't be able to deal with the Spectral Watcher. The problem is I'm going to be taking 3 damage if I fail, so I can't afford to fail. Unfortunately, I'm even hoping for a pull, which is not the spot I want to be in right now. One, two, three. Token 1 is an Elder thing. This is bad. Token 2. What is that? A -2. Uh-oh. And a -1. Oh no. So even if I cancel the 2 biggest tokens in the bag, Jacqueline still takes 3 damage and unfortunately takes a physical trauma. That could not have come at a much worse time. Which means the Spectral Watcher unfortunately makes friends with Mandy. That was not what I wanted to see. So if you fail, take 2 damage. And remember, because it was next to the deck, we take 3 damage. So that was actually very bad. Mandy draws. Mysteries of the Lodge. Place 1 doom on the nearest cultist enemy. Then, until the end of the round, increase the difficulty to fight, evade, or parley with that enemy by 2. So we do place a doom on the Lodge Neophyte. But yeah, that was a disaster. Losing Jacqueline right there when we were getting ready to take out the Spectral Watcher. That was very bad. So now I've got to depend on Mandy to get there. So we'll have to drop down to Mandy for the investigation phase. Start of turn, Mandy gets Essence of the Dream in her hand. Action 1, I think she is going to have to take an attack of opportunity, unfortunately. So I'll initiate the play action. Mandy will take the attack of opportunity, which she'll just eat herself, to swap out the encyclopedia with her acidic ichor. With Strange Solution acidic ichor. 2 combat on commit. Researched uses 3 supplies. As an action, spend a supply to fight with a base combat of 6 and deal +2 damage. Which we'll just use those for supplies. Then action 2, I think we'll have to spend a supply to fight. Oh, I went on the right one. And then I'll commit Essence of the Dream. Remember, that's a fight of 5. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So Mandy's up 4. +1 puts 3 damage on the Spectral Watcher. And then action 3 will spend 3 resources to play I've Got a Plan, which this won't trigger an attack of opportunity because it's got the fight keyword. Right, so unfortunately we're only up 1 on this, but we're doing 3 damage here as well. Actually, we're up 5, 6. Yeah, we're up 1. -3 fails that, which is unfortunate, but anyway, that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Mandy takes 1 and 1 back, which she'll eat for now. She's not going to be able to eat it much longer. Yep. There's another 1, and we'll put the horror on Milan. Anyway, moving into the upkeep phase, Mandy gains 1 resource, goes to 6, and then draws Janae Beauregard, who is very late to the party. We'll reset everything there. Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 5. We're at 7 because of the Lodge Neophyte. And then Mandy draws Supernatural Tempest. Revelation test agility 5. If you fail, choose and discard cards from your play area and or from your hand with a total printed resource cost of at least X, where X is the amount you failed by. So right now she's down 2. I can dump that if I need to, and I probably will. Elder Sign, which will still cost her a card, but we can search the top 3 of her deck for a card and draw it. What do I need right now? I need another way to defend herself. For Mandy to defend herself. Yeah. So how many do I want to go deep? Do I want to go 6 deep and take 1, or 3 deep and take 2? I think I want to go 6 deep and take 1. Because here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here's where I really need to see Occult Lexicon, even at the cost of an attack of opportunity. That would be worth it. So card 1, the Puzzle Box, which actually, or deal 5 damage to the Spectral Watcher if it's exhausted. So that's actually very much useless right now. I could exhaust the Spectral Watcher, though. Not at the cost. The action on there wouldn't trigger it, but I'll have to think about that. Card 2. Opportunist, which I don't want to see right now. Card 3. Hawkeye Folding Camera. You are very late to the party. Card 4. Death 13, also late to the party. Card 5. Eureka, which I can't use on the attack anyway, and Mob Enforcer, which can get bent. I think for a combat attack commit, I'm going to take Opportunist. Like I said, I mostly need to be able to commit cards to an attack against the Spectral Watcher. But I'm not going to commit it to this test because I'm still going to end up failing by 2, which means I can dump either Pathfinder or Janae with no problem. Yeah, so that's gone, and I'll dump Pathfinder since I don't need that right now. Alright, that can go back in the bag. Action 1, we'll spend another charge of Strange Solution into... I also get Essence of the Dream back. Spend a charge of Strange Solution into the Spectral Watcher, committing Essence of the Dream and Opportunist. So right now I'm at 6, 10, 11. I'm up 5. Skull is -2, so I do get Opportunist back. The Spectral Watcher takes another 3 damage. Now, the question here is, do I play another Meat Shield? Or do I just go for it? I think I probably have time. My lore doesn't really matter right now, so I think I can go ahead and play another Meat Shield. So I'll trigger the Attack of Opportunity. Milan will eat it. And I'll pay 5 resources to play out Janae. That's really her only purpose right now, is as a Meat Shield. 5 cost to play, Lore and Agility on commit. I get 1 and +1 and +1. During my turn, after I move to a location, I can exhaust Janae, move a clue or a non-elite enemy from a connecting location to my location, or vice versa, 2 and 2. Like I said, I'm mostly playing her just for the soak. And then action 3. Can I wait one more turn to get Essence of the Dream back? I just need to defeat the Spectral Watcher while it's there. And currently, it's not doing anything else. So, yeah, I think I can wait one more turn. Yeah, I'll wait one more turn so I can get an Essence of the Dream back. I'll go ahead and evade it, because why not? I'm up 1. Let's see, 7, yeah. We got time. Skull is -2, and it's sensitive to circle actions, which this is not, so it fails. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Janae will take the 1 and 1 from the Spectral Watcher, which is why I played her out to begin with. Then we'll move into the upkeep phase. We have no other hunter enemies in place, so back into the upkeep phase we go. Mandy gains a resource going up to 2. And then she draws Mob Enforcer. Why is this thing coming up now? 4/3/3, Prey Hunter only, Bearer only, Hunter. As an action, spend 4 resources to get rid of him. You knew you shouldn't have borrowed money from the O'Banion gang. It seems like they're always looking to collect at the worst times. Well, yeah. Right, Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda goes up to 8. Mandy draws. Eager for Death. Will 2. Increase the skill test's difficulty by 1 per damage, so it's actually a 7. And if I fail, I take 2 horror, which I can soak that. I can soak that myself, but yeah, I'm gonna pull the token anyway, because I could pull an Elder Sign here to potentially get some more stuff to help with attacking the Spectral Watcher. -2, color me unsurprised. So I'll take the 2 horror. That's gone. Start of my turn, I get Essence of the Dream back. Action 1, Strange Solution into the Spectral Watcher, throwing everything I've got at this. So that's another 4. Once again, 10, 11, I'm up 5. And here's where I want to see no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. +1 gets us there. So that's the last damage on the Spectral Watcher. So he'll exhaust. So doing this by the book, he'll exhaust and go into snooze mode. Wouldn't ready during the upkeep phase, except that's +1 health per investigator. So yeah, he was at 9 health. We've done the 9 damage to him, so that should let us advance the act. If the Spectral Watcher is defeated at the Geist Trap while the brazier is unlit, advance. And we did extinguish it early. Union. As the blue flame of the brazier is snuffed out, the energy around the circle disperses. The shadow wreath around the Watcher's form is released, and the creature's true form surrounds the central pillar, R4. So let's move back up top for R4. Alright, we're back up top for Resolution 4.
Resolution 4. Annette approaches, confronting the remnant's ethereal shell. Sister, we're the ones who have called you here from the great beyond. The shattered revenant turns its attention to Annette, and the rest of her coven watch in anticipation. What are you doing, you fool? This spirit is no mere witch, Carl Sanford yells out, but it is too late. Annette ignores Mr. Sanford, continuing to speak with the spectral presence. For years we have suffered injustice after injustice. Share with me your secret, sister. Together, as one mind, body, and soul, we can begin anew. The ghost reaches out to her with a long, skeletal arm. Annette's sisters gasp as their high priestess steps forward and kneels before the being, offering herself. With a sudden rush of energy, the phantom soul is drawn inside Annette. She collapses to the ground, reeling from the spiritual impact. Her body writhes in torment, but none of the other witches step forward to help, instead watching with equal parts terror and fascination. Finally, Annette rises to her feet. Her eyes aglow with mystical power. When she speaks, it is not her voice. Sisters, rejoice, for I am reborn, Keziah says. Carl Sanford taps you with his cane. You were so transfixed by the events occurring in front of you that you hadn't noticed the lodge members slinking toward the edges of the clearing. One of the lodge's inner circle raises a revolver and attempts to fire, but the high priestess simply glares at him, and his arm withers and rots before your eyes. His gun clatters to the ground, and he makes one final croak before he is nothing but a decayed husk on the ground. We must leave this place at once, Sanford says stoically. This being possesses power over life and death itself. It will not suffer our presence any longer. Annette, no, Keziah, turns her attention to you, and her eyes brighten. You look familiar, child. Come, come. Do not be afraid. You have nothing to fear from me. She grins wickedly. Her voice is like knives driving into your soul. You hate to admit it, but Sanford is right. You turn and flee with the rest of the lodge, hoping you are fast enough to escape the witch's magic. Your escape is a blur. Witches and spirits chase you relentlessly throughout the forsaken woods. You are only barely able to make it back to the shore before they catch up to you. Other members of the lodge are perhaps not so fortunate. Having scattered in so many directions, you're not sure how many of them escaped, and you don't see Carl Sanford anywhere, though you suspect he had a plan for this outcome. In your campaign log, record Annette Mason is possessed by evil. Skip to Resolution 8.
I already record, as the resolution was playing, I did record that Annette is possessed by evil. So, Resolution 8 is waiting.
Resolution 8. When you finally return to the banks of the Miskatonic River, you take stock of the situation. If an investigator's deck contains the puzzle box card, remove it from that investigator's deck.
Which we saw it late in the scenario, but I ended up shuffling it away from Mandy. So there's the puzzle box, which means we'll pull that out of Mandy's deck. Continue.
Missing persons section of your campaign log. If Gabriella is alive, any one investigator may choose to add the Gabriella Mizra asset to his or her deck. She does not count toward that investigator's deck size. Otherwise, next to Gabriella Mizra's profile, record Gabriella is dead. If Jerome is alive, any one investigator may choose to add the Jerome David's asset to his or her deck. He does not count toward that investigator's deck size. Otherwise, next to Jerome David's profile, record Jerome is dead. If Penny is alive, any one investigator may choose to add the Penny White asset to his or her deck. She does not count toward that investigator's deck size. Otherwise, next to Penny White's profile, record Penny is dead. If Valentino is alive, Any one investigator may choose to add the Valentino Rivas asset to his or her deck. He does not count toward that investigator's deck size. Otherwise, next to Valentino Rivas' profile, record Valentino is dead.
So Penny and Jerome were both taken by the Watcher, which means they're both dead. Continue.
Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display.
Alright, so each card in the victory display is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We cleared out all the victory locations, plus we took out the Nether Mist, so we got 6 experience from this scenario. But Jacqueline picked up another physical trauma, so 0, 0, 6, and 6. I was zeroing out the experience I spent in the last upgrades video, but anyway, that will do it for this scenario. So once again, 6 experience for the ladies, but Jacqueline did pick up a physical trauma. Wednesday we'll upgrade the decks again, and then we'll officially enter the home stretch for the campaign as we go through a return to In the Clutches of Chaos. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.